The Ukrainian army is preparing for counteroffensives, U.S. President Joe Biden said. According to him, offensive operations of the Ukrainian military are planned in the early spring. Now, the United States and its servants are sponsoring offensive actions and provide Ukraine with weapons so that its military could try to change the situation on the battlefield. The United States will send 31 Abrams tanks to Ukraine, which is equal to 1 Ukrainian tank battalion. Germany also announced that it would hand over 14 Leopard tanks to Kiev and allow the Allies to supply these vehicles to Kiev. In total, Germany and its partners intend to provide 112 Leopards. However, new gifts only famish Kiev. Ukraine will seek supplies of long-range missiles and aircraft, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said in response to the announcement of tank supplies. "We have to supply aircraft for Ukraine, and this is a dream, and this is the task," he said. The next day after his statements, Politico reported, citing military officials and diplomats, that Western countries were discussing the possibility of supplying jet fighters to Ukraine. The next natural step would be fighters, a diplomat from one of the Nordic countries told the newspaper. He noted that there is a red line for Western support for Ukraine, but it's changing. For example, last summer it concerned the supply of HIMARS missile systems, which Kiev eventually received. Then the same thing happened with the supply of tanks. On January 26th, the Minister of Defense of Slovakia said that his country was thinking about the supply of MiG-29 fighters to Kiev. Earlier, the Dutch foreign minister said that the country was ready to consider transferring F-16 multi-purpose fighters to Ukraine if Kiev officially requests military aircraft. Amid the ongoing discussion about the possibility of Western supplies of aircraft for Ukraine, Lockheed Martin from the United States is considering plans to increase production of F-16 fighters. Officials of NATO countries are openly declaring that they are waging an aggressive war against Russia without publicly declaring it and without observing internal political procedures, that is, without consent of their own people, declaration of martial law, etc. They openly, massively, and systematically send various weapons to the Ukrainian front lines, including heavy military equipment for offensive operations. Military personnel and units of NATO countries take part in hostilities and coordinate military operations of the Ukrainian army. Special services of NATO countries prepare and coordinate terrorist attacks on the territory of the Russian Federation. NATO has to admit that it has already entered the war against Russia. This means that military facilities, infrastructure facilities, and political decision-making centers located on the territory of NATO countries become legitimate targets for Russian missiles.